My definition of creativity is it's a human need nobody talks about as a need. It should be on the Maslow hierarchy chart. People are desperate for, the species is desperate for music, art, literature, films, and creative advertising. Need it, want it. Godard, the filmmaker Godard, he said, sometimes reality is too complex and stories make it absorbable. That's what creativity is, great stories. So I grew up in Brooklyn, in New York, in Flatbush. My mother, a combination of the most kind of waspy, prim Jewish person I've ever known, and she was a dancer, ballerina. My father was a great writer. Started out in magazines, then he went into PR, and then he went into advertising.
Listen, mister, let me tell you what I really think. I use it, but it tastes crummy.
Listerine's got the taste people hate twice a day.
So my dad did the taste you hate twice a day. That kind of cleverness was, even as a kid, I'm like, that's an idea. So I kind of caught the bug early. He used to take me to work on school holidays, and he'd sit me on the floor with a pad and markers, and it seemed like a cool way to make a living, and all these interesting, eccentric, creative people. My dad had a job change to become a teacher at Boston University. He started a program called Ad Lab, and it wasn't just about creative kids putting together books. It was a real working, functioning agency. So you had account people, planners, creatives, and deadlines, and having to do it over again, and all-nighters, and all the clients were pro bono, so nobody in the Boston community was threatened by them. In fact, they helped. And my sister is older, my brother's younger. They're both very creative and funny and musical. We're a big musical family. And then my boys, who I taught to play guitar and piano, they've surpassed me. It's kind of humiliating, but they're very creative. Who inspired me? Well, as I say, my father, obviously. And then, of course, there's other people, too, like the Beatles, or Dylan, or James Brown, or Miles Davis, Joni Mitchell. They have, different windows of creativity. So they're highly popular, commercial even, part of the cultural zeitgeist. And yet, the art was pure, unfiltered excellence. So mass, but incredibly pure. So that's, to me, what a great campaign is. In school, I did Ad Lab. And then I came out, and it was during a recession. The place I started as an intern was this little boutique called Clark Aronson Goward. And there, this guy, John Goward, and this guy, Mark Duchesne, trained me. And from there, I went to Leonard Monahan's Sabi. And that's really started for me, which was in Providence, in Rhode Island, a small town. It was run by Tom Monahan, who was my first boss, and then later a partner, and this guy, Ernie Schenk. And man, did they teach me. And I did something for an insurance company and a run clothes company, and did some nice things there. And I'm not sure how Shy Day found me, run by Jay Chiat and Lee Clapp. And it was certainly the best agency maybe in the world at the time. I was hired as a writer on Apple, and it was exclusively Apple for the first year or two. And my boss was a woman named Penny Capasus. She was a very, very brilliant, incredible writer. She looked at my work and said, yeah, it's good, but it sounds like you're writing it. And on Apple, it has to sound like Steve Jobs said it. So she kind of broke me down, and then she built me back up to know how to do it in voices, Steve Jobs' voice. But then after that, that's all I've ever done. Inhabit the client's voice, not my voice. I had other mentors too, like Steve Hayden, Dave Butler. They were fantastic and very generous. And it was a real fork in the road. I took the right fork. And I met my wife there, and she was a fantastic producer. Before we dated, I really admired her. She was actually an influence on me because not only was she a killer young producer, she got it done. People asked for her because she was going to make it happen. But also she was really cool and great to be around. And I thought, not only did I admire that in her, but I go, I hope I'm seen that way. So Tom Monahan called me and said, it looks like you're learning a lot there. Let us in on some of that stuff and be a partner. And I don't know, it seemed like the right thing to do. So I went back to now Leonard Monahan Lubars. The great thing about working on Kids at Leonard Monahan was, first of all, it was the first pitch I ran, and we won. And it was the first time I did work without a boss.
produces weightlifting shoes. Kids, they feel good.
It came out well, so that helped me feel like, oh, I can lead this agency and do this. An invaluable experience, and did that for 5 years. And then the call came from Steve Hayden again. So I went to BBDO West to work with Steve again and work on Apple, which was more than half the revenue. But they had some other nice things too, like LA Cellular, which became later our AT&T client, Pioneer.
Sorry.
But I went to work on Apple and paint on kind of a bigger canvas, and so that's what we did, and that was a good run. When Steve left to go to Ogilvy, I assumed the role of Chief Creative Officer and President. Well, I had to run a company. So I was at BBDOS for 6 years. As great as it was sort of a branch office. So Pat Fallon called, and another life-changing, game-changing experience. So they brought me in, and again, I was kind of intimidated because they had legends there. One legend, Bob Barry, he said to me, he goes, look, don't be intimidated. We need you to do the job, do the job. So I did, and we went on a fantastic run.
$1,500 for a leather bustier?
Herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
You mean you're not even in high school yet?
What is no? But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
A run of famous cultured zeitgeist defining work, but also a great new business run. The first thing we did, this thing for Buddy Lee Jeans. And it was commercials where Buddy Lee goes against these different kind of enemies. And then at the end, it says, play the game at BuddyLee.com. And those same enemies, you were Buddy Lee playing against them in the game. Very primitive, but at the time, kind of breakthrough and new.
Buddy wins. Excellent.
Lee Dungarees.
Play the game at BuddyLee.com.
And that was kind of like, made the agency kind of look like, wow. And then the next one was BMW Films. So that was this guy, David Carter, Joe Sweet, and their group had Bruce Bilston and a team of, you don't just make something like that. The reason we did it was the client came to us frantic. The audience there was mostly male, a guy like 30s to 50s, did a lot of stuff online, even though it was primitive, not watching TV. And they were like, well, what are you going to do to get these people understanding about our cars when they're not watching TV anymore and they're doing these other things? So we did the judo move and went where they were. And if you're going to go on there, it's got to be a whole different kind of thing. It's got to be entertaining because you're voluntarily going to look at it. It's not being imposed on you like a commercial. I left town and again made some lifelong friends, and we had a great run together. But I'm not from the Midwest, and I was still feeling BBDO, and Phil was retiring. Phil Duesenberry, my legendary predecessor, and Andrew Robertson had just been named CEO, and I knew him from when he ran AMV in London, and we worked on Apple together. And it just seemed like a line right to become his partner. And so that's 19 years ago. So Phil Duesenberry is another important influence. Interesting thing about BBDO, they missed the entire creative revolution of the 60s. So they came to the creative revolution late, but they did. In the late 70s, Phil Duesenberry and Andrew Robertson's former boss, Alan Rosenshine, they brought it. And they started with kind of an interesting commercial, that night baseball for GE. And then they went on this crazy good run in the 80s and 90s. But then the world started changing 20 years later with things like BMW Films and some of the other things people were doing where it was moving off traditional media approaches. So Phil retired, and they brought me in, and they brought Andrew into what's the next window at BBDO.
It's weird how sunny it is, Charlie. It's the wrong weather for the terrible thing I'm about to do.
So that was our charge. In what ways can we surround and delight people out there for our clients' benefit?
Bacardi and Boy Wonder present the concept album.
An augmented reality experience on Instagram that lets you place symbols of hope where symbols of hate once stood.
How do we not get stuck in the cement and it hardens while the world moves on without us with new things that, are here when everybody else is there? Clients know why they come here, so we're a brand, and they know what the brand is. They believe in creativity as an economic multiplier, not just, a good to have. So we share the same goal.
And you've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said.
Oh, baby.
Whoa.
Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better.
My mom makes airplane engines that can talk.
Wait, you didn't actually bring Carl with you?
Good morning. But I digress.
Sorry, I called you Karen.
That's my name.
Sorry, your name is Karen.
What about infinity times infinity? Oh.
Yes, my husband is having a heart attack. 54 Maple Drive, and hurry, please.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. There's no edge. There's no edge to it. There's no edge to it. He's just got out of prison. All right? He's just got out of prison.
Daddy's in Cleveland.
He just got out of prison. He betrayed you. You want to kill him, but you keep it locked up inside in here, okay? But one day, vengeance. Vengeance. Can you say vengeance?
Vengeance.
Okay, good. Great.
A little pinch. Sweetheart,
Hi,
I left my phone in...
Totally out of way.
I'm having phone issues. Bye.
Am I on speaker? Cup cold heavy cream into a...
Hello, my name is Gwendolyn, and I'll be your professor today. Does anybody know how big the brain is? Anybody?
Yes, ideas are scary and messy and fragile. But under the proper care, they become something beautiful.
It's hard for me to say what I'm most proud of. I mean, it's dangerous business to pick your favorite child, but the ones I really like are the ones that were exercises in removal, like taking away everything and just leaving the essence. Like it's a great exercise in removal. This thing we did for Guinness. They're playing wheelchair basketball with their friend and had them dialogue. Didn't need any dialogue because just what they were doing was enough. Dedicated. We had a crowd watching, admiring, took out the crowd. Nobody needs to, like they're doing it for their friend. They don't need to be admired.
Just getting better at this, yeah. Next week, buddy.
Friendship. The choices we make reveal the true nature of our character.
And so by taking all that stuff out, what was left in is why I became famous. I always saw myself as an A- writer, but it's not the same magic of that somebody who is A+, like that rarefied, like Bob Dylan, or, like where does it come from kind of stuff. And people who, again, not being falsely modest, who I knew and could see were way more talented than me weren't. And I realized my real talent is I can help A+ be as great as they are. Way better than I could ever be.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Now, when you get pulled over,
I'm a good driver. Okay,
baby,
don't worry.
this is not about you getting a ticket. This is about you not coming home.
I'm gonna be okay. Right? Okay, baby.
You are not pretty for a black girl. You are beautiful, period. Okay? Don't ever forget that.
So I think it's easy to work for someone who's trying to help you be as great as you are. So what inspires me is the chaos of today. You know, in previous generations, you had 3 boxes. And it was hard. You had to put great things in like TV, print, and radio, but you knew what the horizon line looked like. Today, it's a cloudy, foggy mess. And every day it's different. Everything's changing. Everything is new. So for me, somebody who's so ADD and bored, I think I would have left by now if it was just those 3 boxes. Like how many of those can you do? But waking up every day to see what's new and confusing, that's stimulating for somebody like me. In advertising, you get to be a chef, not a waiter, right? So a waiter just takes the order. A lot of careers you can do that. Here, you get to bring clients things that they didn't know they could have, like sumptuous sauces. And then if they love it, you can give me more. And then you go on some great run. There's nothing like it. And you get to kind of lead no matter what level you're at. I believe the goal of any good advertising person is to not pollute the culture, to not put out bad fumes. You want to put out fresh, effervescent air that people, want to breathe in. You're trying to see how effective your work is. Now, there are certain sciences you can apply, but you can't. There's no science to see how much sizzle or lovability you have, or do people want to be with you and like you and embrace you. So award shows are the best, the good ones, the best metrics we have to measure sizzle. And again, if you believe in creativity as an economic multiplier, you want to know you're hitting a 10 on that too. If I had to do it all over again, would I do anything differently? It's a tricky question because they say good judgment comes from all your experience, but all your experience comes from all the bad judgment. So if it wasn't for those bad calls, maybe I would have made some of those good ones.